In the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, I offer my solo guitar instrumental arrangement of Danny Boy. Oh, Danny Boy. That song, that beautiful, sad song sung every year on March 17th or thereabouts. It was written over 100 years ago and set to the ancient Celtic melody London Derriere, not to be confused with London Derriere. And the English words are written by a chap named Frederick Weatherly, who was actually English, interestingly. And my arrangement grew out of a self-accompaniment for a vocal. I do this every year. My adult son Nick and I play duos. Like we do at least 2 or 3 St. Patrick's gig every year. And of course, everybody requests Danny Boy, all across the USA. Proud Irish Americans, heavily lubricated, either start singing it or they request me to sing it, and then they try to sing along in my ear. It's crazy. But so for this purpose, I decided to make it into a chord melody style arrangement where there's no singing. You don't have to sit through me singing the song, but you're playing the melody and accompanying at the same time. And that's always a challenge because you have to try to keep the melody on top of the accompaniment and not lose sight of the melody. And also, it's good to know the lyrics. I remember when I was back in jazz college, one of the big pieces of advice I learned was learn the lyrics to all these standard tunes that you're playing instrumentally, so you won't mess with the phrasing and somebody who knows the words say, hey, you left out a syllable or added a syllable, So here is my arrangement of Danny Boy, performed as if it were in the key of C and notated that way. I'm using a capo at the 2nd fret to raise the pitch up a whole step to the key of D, as in Danny. Here we go. So this is a tender ballad, and it should be performed slowly and kind of freely, meaning you can take some liberties with the tempo. You can do some dramatic pauses here and there so as to kind of take a breath, And well, you want to use dynamics, which are volume contrasts. The great thing about fingerstyle playing is that each finger has its own volume control, right? Same thing with playing a grand piano. You can be very expressive with the way you lay into notes or just tap them softly. So we're starting off with an intro, which is essentially the last 4 bars up front, and I do this. And that finger slide is very expressive, right? C over G, A7. That's A7 sharp 5, nice, right? And then here's the melody. I'm skipping over the B string. I'm going. It's D9 over F sharp, and then F over G. G7 flat 9, C. It's a little F over C, F minor 6 over C. And that's the hold. You see the fermata thing in bar 5. So that's our intro. Here is again. Notice how I'm rolling some of the arpeggios to give it a more elegant effect. And then here's the pickup in bar 5 to the melody. Okay, I put a very specific fingering in the tablature, 2, 3, on the G7 chord, because you're gonna go, oh, Danny boy. If you were to just play it like this, you'd be like, oh shit, you're screwed. So here's the verse, bar 6. C to C major 7th, and then, now again, I indicated a very specific fingering here. You have to bar, you have to anticipate and do that bar in advance. So you're gonna go, and that becomes the 13th. But carefully avoid hitting the D string, because this F note is not part of the chord. So there's your root, C, B flat is the 7th, A is the 13th. I'm speaking relative to the capo, by the way, so everything I say is up a whole step. And then here's a C7 voicing. Here's your 3 E's. So and then F. Now I sneak this finger over to here. I'm doing this nice little run here. Sorry, on the F chord. I thought it was cool to go down to D minor, so you make it a 2, 5, 1. So from the F, it's. And then G13, 11, which is, think of it as F major 7 over G. And then G7 flat 9 over D. So you have that nice descending line. When I do that, I do a slight palm mute on the low strings because you have to keep things tidy. You don't want any notes lingering from the previous chord unless you want them to. But if it's a different chord, you generally want to mute them. Here's bar 10. A couple of very specific must-do fingerings there, okay? Bar 10 to C5, and then you hit the 3rd. And here you got to use 1 here. Yeah, if you just wiggle like this, you're like, oh no, I got to go. You'd have to let go of the bass note and possibly hit some unintended open strings. So, index finger, and then that little grace note hammer on from 3 to 5, relative to the capo. A minor 7 chord, and then C over G. And then in bar 12, again, a very specific fingering for D7 over F sharp. You could just go, but then you got to hit this C note. You're like, oh, I should have done it the other way. So you want to use 1, 2, 4, and then 3. So you want to go in bar 12. And that's your G chord in bar 13, and then a nice little walk up, kind of like Blackbird, right? You want to let all those melody notes ring as much as possible, and this is my personal reharmonization. You must bar the 5th fret up from the capo. It's actually the 7th fret, but bar 15, you must bar. So that's C over B flat. Actually, it's C13 over B flat, and then C7 over E. And then this is really nice. Thumb, and then F minor 6 over A flat. That's That's my own little counter melody I added. That's really nice. Let me take it back from bar 15. C over G, bar 18. That's A7 sharp 5. D9 over F sharp. And now you got to use a thumb here because it's just like the intro. Again, you got to use a thumb here. If you just played this, then you got to go there and there, you run out of fingers. F over C, F minor 6 over C, economical use of notes there, right? Now here we go into the chorus or the bridge, if you want to call it, in bar 21. This is where you want to get loud. It's a high point of the song, and normally it just stays on C, but my version, I like to go to the relative minor, A minor. It's more poignantly dramatic. So it's in bar 21, you're resting on the C chord. Notice when I went to the A minor, I had to check that. You don't want that low E bleeding into A minor. I tell my students this all the time. When you're going from to A minor, you don't want that lingering. So it's palm mute, clear the slate for the A minor, right? E minor over G. Make sure your fingers stand tall. I like to say stand tall so they don't lazily bump into and accidentally mute the adjacent strings. So, especially on this F6 sharp 11 chord, you want that open D to ring in there too. And then here's the G over B. Actually, G9. Bar 24, here's a C. I threw that in there because I wanted that 1-4 cadence to give it some movement, harmonic movement. But because the melody goes da da, you have to keep the accompaniment below the melody. See, I'm almost running out of room here. That was the only thing I could think of to do without crossing over into the middle register and obscuring the melody. Now I'm going to that E over G sharp. Sounds nice with the first inversion. Here's A minor in bar 26. Notice I'm emphasizing the melody notes and keeping in mind what the words are, so I'm not giving it an extra syllable or rushing it or anything. Now here, bar 28, this is a perfect example of what I mentioned a minute ago about the melody. As much as possible, you want to try to keep it on top. So that open D note, that's the melody. So all I could do, I got 2 strings below it. What can I do? I decided to go without bumping into and touching that open D note. Here's the melody again. This is my personal favorite part of the tune, the climax, that little walk up. A minor 7. I actually throw the D in there, makes it A minor 7, add 4, G over B. And then here's a surprise chord. Whoa, what's that? That's C9 sus 4. It's like one of these fusion-y chords. Right? But I'm throwing in the open high E note because that is the melody. So you have a root, a sus 4, flat 7, 9, and then the third. So you may say, well, how can you use the sus 4 and the third? If you separate them by an octave like that, it somehow works. And I must give credit to that move to a good friend of mine, Jan Stevens. He's a brilliant arranger, composer, pianist. I played with him for many years in wedding bands, and he is the one who came up with that change. And then, G flat 7, flat 5. That's called the tritone substitution. So step back and put it in context. bar 31. That's nice. Sounds like a gospel type of change. B flat over F, thinking about that inner voice leading, and then F sharp diminished 7th. Actually, for a second there, that's B7 over F sharp. That makes F sharp diminished 7th, leading up to C over G in bar 32. And now here I take the melody up an octave. That's a G sharp augmented, resolving beautifully to A minor. Dramatic pause there. And then get quieter too. That's the D minor 6 over A flat. Bar 34. Real quiet. C over G. Nice A9 voicing. D7 over F sharp. Now I could have gone up, but I decided to go G9, G7 flat 9. Anticipate the resolution to C. Kind of like the end of Bohemian Rhapsody. So that last part again. C chord, you give it a little shake, or you can do some artificial harmonics. 5 frets higher. Yeah. One last thing. I spoke earlier about adjusting the octave of the melody. Sometimes you don't want to go too high because it gets to be unmanageable. So on that bridge part, I took a melody down an octave. So that's when I got them really low. Now, if I'm staying at register, I would actually go, or can't do much more than that because the melody is, and that's a G augmented. This is the alternative way to play it. Bar 31, from bar 31. A7. These are really low voicings. And then D7 over C. The other alternative is to go bar 32. I wanted to get those nice voicings in there. C6 over G, A9, bar 35, D7 over F sharp. Now I can go to G7, or how about G9, flat 9, and then C. Or something like that. Still kind of Bohemian Rhapsody type of ending.